Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Balint from Vermont for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today we've been examining mistakes made over this 20-year war that tragically cannot be undone at this point. So I want to focus now on one thing that Congress can and should address immediately, and that's the Afghan Adjustment Act. Vermont is proudly home to hundreds of Afghans who have been resettled in our state. And I was honored recently to meet with a man named Ashukala, who is an Afghan interpreter who worked alongside a Vermonter who served the U.S. Army in Afghanistan. Now, Ashukala and his wife reside in Vermont, and we are so grateful that they're now part of our community. Under the Biden-Harris administration, we've welcomed approximately 100,000 Afghan evacuees to the United States since the summer of 2021. But many of those allies were admitted only on a temporary basis. And right now, they live in fear of an uncertain future. And I talked to many of those folks in my hometown of Brattleboro, Vermont. In July of 2021, the House voted overwhelmingly and on a bipartisan basis to increase the capacity of the Afghan Special Immigration Visa Program. And that bill would have provided an additional 8,000 special immigrant visas and would have eased the burden on obtaining visas. Now, I ask unanimous consent to submit to the record an August 2021 USA Today article about that vote, which occurred as more Afghan territory continued to fall to the Taliban. And it stated, quote, "Some of the Republican House members who this week excoriated President Biden's strategy to pull U.S. troops out of Afghanistan and evacuate Afghan civilians voted last month against legislation to speed up the visa applications process for Afghan citizens. All 16 no votes were from Republicans, and 4 of those members sit on this very committee. Currently, evacuees have only 2 options for resolution: the asylum system or the Afghan Special Immigrant Visa Program. There are now well over 150,000 people currently trapped in Afghanistan awaiting processing through the Special Immigrant Visa Program, while more than 7,000, it's actually 70,000. 70,000 Afghans, many of whom fought alongside our troops, are currently in the United States living in legal limbo. So, Ms. Shaw, is it fair to say that the Special Immigrant Visa Program is severely overburdened and needs resources?
Thank you so much for that question. That is a serious area of oversight for us. As you noted, there are more than 150,000 SIV applications still pending. And so our work has found, prior to the evacuation and our current work and ongoing work, I think are trending in this direction as well, that while some progress has been made to try to streamline the process and to better resource it, there's still plenty of room for improvement. Processing times still exceed well beyond that 9-month target stated in statute. And so I will note that the Department from April 2021 until 2022 did increase their processing rate by about 15 times. So we're seeing progress, but there's still that significant backlog, and so it's a major area of focus for our work.
And following up on that, Ms. Shaw, you said it's a 9-month turnaround in statute. Where are we right now with the timeline? What's the average timeline for one of these folks waiting for relief?
So I don't have averages as of today, but our past work, which looked at averages in the 2020 time period, showed that although we couldn't get a definitive answer on every phase of the process because of how some of the data comes in, we did determine that just 2 of the 4 phases were resulting in average processing times of more than 17 months. And so you can sort of extrapolate from there.
So years?
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Ms. Shaw, so is it fair to say that neither the asylum system or the SIV program can provide timely assistance right now to these individuals who need relief?
So it is true that they can't provide that right now for every person in the backlog, but there are recommendations pending in our work that certainly could help improve the situation. We hope to be able to offer additional recommendations.
So simply put, I just want to say, our partners deserve better. This is not acceptable. And I ask my Republican colleagues to recognize the urgency of this effort and join Democrats in passing a bipartisan Afghan Adjustment Act that will make good to these people who risk their lives alongside of our servicemen and women. Thank you, Ms. Shaw.